Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Bossa Nova. The Bossa Nova is one of the subsets of Latin music. Now, the Bossa Nova varies from other styles of Latin music, and what we want to do is make sure that you have a basic understanding of the Bossa Nova and some of the things that make it different, and also show you how different this is from rock music. The first thing you're going to recognize is that on the snare drum line, instead of having an actual snare drum quarter note, we have an X. Now that X stands for what we're going to do instead of hitting the snare is a cross stick. What a cross stick is that I lay the left stick down on the snare drum with the butt end kind of close to the middle of the drum with the actual tip of the stick hanging off of the rim. I lay that stick flatly down and I grab it with my left hand. I use the palm of my left hand to hold the butt end of the stick down on the drum because we don't want the butt end to lift up. And then I simply pick the stick and the tip of it up and I hit it down against the rim while the butt end is still flat on the head. That creates a completely different sound. And that's one of the main ways that we play the Bossa Nova. So when we see that in this book with the X on the C space, the third space, instead of a snare, it's going to be a cross stick. Now notice that the Bossa Nova, number one, is the 3-2 son clave. It's very, very close to the clave pattern that we just learned. So if we learned the 3-2 son clave, learning the 3-2 son clave Bossa Nova beat is not much different. My snares are the same in the first line with the 1, the and of the 2, and the 4, which is the same as they were in the clave page before. The only difference is that in the 2 measure, which is the second measure, instead of having the snare drum be on the 2, 3, it goes 2 and then the and of the 3. But for all intents and purposes, understanding that this works with that clave, if you understand the 3-2 son clave, you should be able to play this beat quite easily. So let's try number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 2, what we're going to do is we're going to make that into a 3-2 rumba clave. So the only difference that's going to be changed is that we're going to move that rim click off of the 4 and move it to the end of the 4, just like we do with the clave when we change between a rumba and a son. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome job. Cool. So now let's go ahead and try the 2-3 son clave. Once again, just like number 1, but instead we're starting from the second measure or the 2 measure instead of the first measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 4, let's try the 2-3 rumba clave. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's the basic 4 bossa nova beats. The only thing is, though, is that we really kind of simplified those. One of the things that we have a lot of times in Latin is we have what it's like a heartbeat pulse on the bass drum. So we're going to do those same 4 again. Number 5, for example, is just like number 1, the exact same idea with the snare and the hi-hat, but it's putting that heartbeat pulse bass drum in by adding bass drums on the end of the 2 and the end of the 4. So let's try what we call the real version of number 1, which is number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same idea. Now let's go ahead and try number 6 and do it with a 3-2 rumba. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, number 7, a 2-3 son clave. 1, 2, 3, 4. And number 8, a 3-2 rumba clave. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic job. So that's the basic idea behind the bossa nova. We've got the rim clicks and we've got the understanding of the claves. Now, if you have a situation where the bossa nova comes up, your question should always be the same. Well, what clave am I playing in? Or you should be able to figure out what clave that you're playing in pretty quickly. Now, we don't expect you to become a Latin expert by 1 or 2, 3 pages here, but we do want you to understand the difference between Latin music and rock music and how these different styles approach the drum set differently. So, fantastic job. Stick with us. Next time, we're going to talk about the samba.